It's time for QB1 with Crissy, Froyd, and a lot of people are talking about Trey Lance. I think the majority of 49ers fans just want to know when this guy is going to officially be the starter. Is that coming sooner rather than later? Crissy, what's the deal in San Francisco?
Yeah, I think that they were trying to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, and then there was something with an injury, and then the surgery and the timing of it. It just hasn't quite worked out with them because of a number of variables. But I think that there is a full intent to start Trey Lance sooner rather than later over Jimmy Garoppolo. I think it's going to be a matter of when the trade happens, how training camp goes. But I think that regardless of what's being said, that their mind is kind of made up on who they want to try to move forward with in the long term, and it is most certainly not Jimmy Garoppolo.
How ready do you think Trey Lance is?
Well, I think he obviously needs more experience. I mean, he's coming off of a rookie season, hasn't really had seen a lot of time. So I think that he still kind of has to still make the jump going from the FCS level of college football all the way over to the NFL. So I think that he has a wide range of tools. I think that he was by far the highest ceiling quarterback of that draft class. So I think he's got a lot of stuff to work with and a lot of like mobility, physicality element to him. They call him a quarterback with a linebacker mentality. So hopefully he doesn't get himself injured out there. But I think that he's got a lot to work with. I think that he can make a smooth transition, but I think that we will see, just with any other quarterback, some growing pains in there.
Yeah, I mean, does his performance in college, like you mentioned, ultimately affect the overall narrative of the FCS?
Yeah, I think so, because I think that whenever you look at the draft, everyone's looking at FBS players. No one's really giving those guys kind of have this like diamond in the rough title. But we've actually seen, if you go back through just the list as a whole, we've seen a lot of players across several positions come to the NFL from the FCS and have some success. And so how well Trey Lance performs is going to build upon the fact that he already got drafted so early, which was a win for FCS players in general.
Yeah, and I imagine, I mean, you spend a lot of time talking to college quarterbacks. You spend a lot of time talking to coaches. You're very much in that world. I mean, I imagine from a scouting standpoint, that's no longer a secret, or, you know, the kind of thinking is that, oh, these players you're going to have to really kind of dust them off, and maybe you get one that's a good player. I mean, have you sort of seen that evolution up close, that, hey, this is a really valuable resource for the league now?
Yeah, I think the FCS, the thing about it is that the strength of schedule is obviously very low, and that it's set up a little bit different, and just kind of it's just a little bit subpar, and just in terms of like facilities and stuff like that compared to the FBS. But I think that you're also seeing whenever these FCS players transfer to the FBS level, how well they can hang and become some of the best players in the FBS. I think we're beginning to see that just talent-wise, there's not as much of a gap. The gap kind of lies in other just facets of that.
There's certainly, in theory, a lot of reasons for fans to be excited about what he can do. What is his ceiling, and what is kind of your outlook for what he will do once he's officially named the starter, assuming, like you said, he gets that kind of experience under his belt and can get into a position where he feels comfortable in San Francisco?
Yeah, I think that it's sky high. It's kind of the same thing as Malik Willis in terms of the ceiling, and I see some similarities in between them, except I think that Trey Lance is just overall a little bit more of a polished quarterback. I think he does a lot better job of taking care of the football. So I think that we're going to see a quarterback that has a relatively high floor, but also a really high ceiling. And I think depending on how much of his game, especially in terms of how much he runs around, translates to the NFL, and just how accurate and just safe he's been as a passer, which one of his teammates told me that in practice, like, there were hardly ever any interceptions. And so it's even more than his stat sheet in college would let on as far as how good he is with the football. So I think that we're going to see a quarterback that can manage the game well, but can also add a lot to it himself.
And still, with that said, is this a situation where 49ers fans are going to have to be patient? I mean, with rookies, you know, it seems like they're not given an opportunity really in today's NFL to get comfortable. Everybody wants Joe Burrow. Everybody wants immediate results. I mean, is he gonna be able to be given the time that he needs to get that experience and develop?
Well, you'd hope so. I mean, I think that even the best of the best rookie quarterbacks need time to sit. And I think the perfect case in point are guys like Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. I mean, they didn't come out and be perfect, and they weren't able to lead their team to the promised land in the first year. So I think it's just kind of become a trend in the NFL. Like, what can you do for me today, and what can you do for me in your first year? And it didn't used to be that way with quarterbacks. So I think that whenever they hit that, it kind of adds fire to the narrative that quarterbacks should be able to go in the first year of their career as a starter. But I think that he definitely does need adequate time, as does any other passer.
I'm sure 49ers fans are ready to put the Jimmy Garoppolo drama behind them and get it going with the Trey Lance era. QB1 with Crissy, Froyd. Crissy, thanks.